everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I can't believe it's nearly Christmas, and I can't believe I'm here this morning with Pete Scott. I'm very, very, very excited to have Pete with us live on the Timely channel this morning. I'm Hollie Power, and I'm here posting for Timely. And today we're talking to the wonderful, wonderful Pete Scott, who is here to help you how to discover your business and the transformation in your salon by helping transforming your client. He has a very, very unique and exciting method. Not one we're going to talk about today. We're going to touch on some other bits today as well. He is a huge, huge friend of salonology, and I hope he becomes a huge friend of yours as well. He has a huge following in our industry. He's massively well respected. He works with lots of salons to help them achieve huge, huge business goals when it comes to sales. And we're so, so excited to have him live on the Timely channel with us this morning. Pete, good morning. Thank you.
Morning, Hollie.
For being with us. Now I'm just
Thanks
going
for
to make
having
sure
me.
all live. There we go.
Sure.
We are. It's all happening. We're here. It's real. Massive thank you for coming and joining me. I'm spoiled because I got to meet Pete yesterday in our podcast that we've been recording, and he is just absolutely full of wonderful ideas and inspiration. So I think this is going to be a fabulous live for all of you. Now, I know that we've had a funny few days in the industry. We've sort of swung from whether we're going to be open to not open, to some people not being open, to not really knowing what's going around, what's going to happen over Christmas, what's going to happen into the new year. So I thought it was really important today that we chat with Pete about different elements of retail sales at the moment, and have a look on how, no matter where you are in the world right now, and no matter what your situation is right now, because I know there'll be plenty of people from Australia and New Zealand watching as well, that we can still provide some solutions to you when it comes to sales within your business. And Pete has very, very kindly agreed to come along and share some ideas. So Pete, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, first of all, Hollie, thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. And as you said, twice in 2 days. So we just keep this momentum going as we lean up to Christmas. It's funny that you said it's Tuesday because it feels like that at the moment, doesn't it? That what day of the week is it? And that 2020 has been like that. There's so much uncertainty to a point where I was convinced up until about 5 minutes before this call that it was Wednesday. And I thought, it's Christmas Eve today, so I'm gonna have this whole Christmas Eve thing tonight for my members. And then realizing it's not Christmas Eve, it's actually Christmas Eve. And but to give you a bit of a background about me, if you don't know me, my name's Pete Scott, otherwise known as Pete Sloth. As you can see, I've got lots of slothies everywhere around here. We'll talk about that maybe another time. But if you look me up on Facebook, it's Pete Sloth as opposed to Pete Scott. But my real name is Pete Scott. Background predominantly, well, I won't say background, but my business is the Ultimate Sales Academy. We help specifically service providers to move from transactional selling, which is where you feel like you're chasing the next sale, trying to get the next client, to a place where they can sell on a transformational level and truly serve their clients on a deep level. And that, in essence, in the beauty industry, we have lots of salons all over the world. It might be, as a specific example, a therapist or a salon which has been otherwise selling products at £50, treatments at £50 to £100, to legitimately making a fundamental shift in the life of their client. So offering skin transformation and being able to charge somewhere in the region of, say, £1,000 to £3,000, and doing that more easily than actually chasing sale after sale. And although that might sound uncomfortable, the proof is in the pudding, the Christmas pudding very much. The results are there time and time again. We've had so many of our members go through this process, and even people that aren't members in my academy that have gone through the training, who have been able to, they reach out and they say, wow, I can't believe it. I'm actually finding this so much easier. My client, won't hug me because we can't hug anyone in 2020. But my client is like virtually hugging me because they've invested all this money. They've made a real change in their life. They've committed to their skin or their wellness, and they're not just buying another product that they're not going to use, it's going to sit on the shelf. And so yeah, in a nutshell, that's what my business does and what I do. I'm very much the personal brand of my business, but the academy is far bigger than me. It's gone on now. We've got a wonderful community who will support each other, and we have around about 65 to 70% are salon owners, or they're in the beauty industry. So definitely a strong background in this overall as well. So yeah, and then we have consultants, coaches as well who are on board with the academy.
It's a fabulous concept, and I love how you talk about that. And we, of course, touched on this yesterday as well, about how important it is to take your clients on a journey and to give them a whole transformation that is not just about a client coming in once and experiencing something. It's actually about the long-term experience that you can have, and how potentially powerful that is. And when we look at, I mean, Timely works a lot with hair salons as well. So this is all very, very applicable to people who work with hair clients as well, taking them on a journey. I've been on my own, hair journey from having hair damage. My salon is very much taking me, thank you, Pete, taking me through a process of repair, using everything from supplements and products and treatments and guidance and knowledge sharing. It's been a whole journey, and I'm committed to that salon long term now because of that communication that they had with me, and that time and energy and interest they took in me and my long-term journey and my goals as well. So it's so something that is massively required in our industry, and like you say, we do spend so much time just sort of going for that immediate quick sale and maybe not thinking about the long-term relationship. We've got people commenting actually at the moment saying, if it wasn't for the academy, I would have been lost during these turbulent times.
That's amazing. Thank you.
And that's really kind to reach out and say that. Yeah. Yes.
It's funny.
Sorry.
So just to jump in for a second, it's funny because it's very much the fight or flight analogy. As human beings, we're not designed to be in the present world. We're designed to be in the jungle, surviving, thinking about where our next meal is going to come from, thinking about not being the next meal for a tiger or a lion. And so we're always on the lookout for danger. That's our natural default mentality. And but of course, that is effective if we still live. It's effective if you're stepping into a road and there's a bus coming your direction. It's really effective to have fight or flight, because you'll look at the bus and say, it's bigger than me, I'm not going to fight it. So you jump out of the way. So it's great to have that part of the mind, but it's not, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not valued across everything. And when we run a business, what we end up accidentally doing is, and it starts at the beginning, because at the beginning we have this business, we're excited, we're going to make all this money, and let's do this, let's help clients. And then the bills show up. And instead of necessarily looking at it from a point of view strategically and saying, okay, well, what am I known for? How am I going to help people on a deep level? Why did I get into this business in the first place? We think, oh, I've got to pay bills. And so we go into fight or flight. And the issue is when we go into fight or flight, and you know it straight away because you have this energy about you, this like, I've got to survive, I've got to pay the next bill, I've got to get the next client. And you're right, Hollie, it's all short term. And it means that instead of truly doing what we can do for our clients, and saying, okay, Hollie, it's great that you're here. Are you here to relax, or do you want better skin, or do you want both? I'd love to have both. Okay, great. That's a different conversation. But first of all, let's help you to relax, but let's talk about you having that better skin. Instead of having that conversation, we're getting them in, getting that £50, trying to upsell one product, and it's all survival. And that's what I see. And 2020, all it's done is validate this fight or flight mentality. And it's actually done us a favor in a weird way, because it's actually brought to the surface, which was probably there for the last 10 years. There's probably people on this call right now that are listening in and thinking, actually, if you're really honest with yourself, were you crushing it before 2020? Were you, positioned in the industry how you want to be? Were your clients investing the thousands of pounds that you'd love for them to do? And were you taking them on a journey? Were you known as the go-to expert? The chances are probably not. The chances are in 2019, it was still tough. It's still surviving. And 2020 has just sped that up, because it's taken away the spoon feeding of it and said, well, actually, you've got to close your business for 3 months and there's no more government payouts. And we're thinking, oh my goodness. So it's highlighting that we have this area of our business where there's a great opportunity for growth.
Absolutely. And I think it's very easy, like you said there, to look back on 2019 as this perfect year that we could go and do what we wanted and see everybody when we wanted and go and live our lives as we did. But I bet a lot of people didn't take those opportunities and they didn't take full advantage of it. And this year, more than anything, makes you realize actually what's really important. I think a lot of people have reevaluated their businesses, reassessed how they're going to move forward. And really our goal for what we do and what you do, Pete, in our businesses, because there's a few crossovers. We have quite a few clients who are in both of our communities. And probably people who use the Timely software as well. It's really to get them so geared up, so ready, so excited, so that when we can, move properly forward in 2021, that we can do so with such gusto and such power that it's just success is absolutely inevitable, but also satisfaction in our roles and what we're doing. And you're so right when you talk about that flight or fight instinct, and it applies to all elements. It applies to your marketing. You find that people suddenly go, oh God, I've got an empty diary this week and I haven't prepared my marketing. I should have been working on this 6 weeks ago. I haven't. What am I going to do? What can I do right now? Sell my treatments cheap, sell my products cheap. And that kind of tends to be the quick instinct. Yeah. And that is not where you want to be. So, having that preparation in place and securing those long-term business goals is, so important to be doing right now. Now let's have a look, Pete, at the situation as we sit at the moment. So we've got some people who are still operational. We've got businesses who are open right now, who are, still got a full shelf of stock. So let's look at how those people that are currently still operational, how they can move forward at the moment. What can they be doing to help clear that so they can reopen in the new year, or when we can reopen with a full, fresh stock on their shelves?
Well, first of all, I think it's about, excuse the pun, taking stock, take a breath. That's the first thing that people need to do. Don't rush into the next thing. Take time to meditate, to breathe. And it's funny because even though I'm known as the sales guy, I talk a lot about self-care and first of all, ensuring that those things are in place. If you're not, because your sales are a perfect reflection of you, and so are your clients. And if we're not feeling good about ourselves, or we're feeling stressed, then that is going to ripple into everything that we do. And even though we think it's not connected, everything is connected on a profound level. So the first step, number one, as fluffy as it sounds, it's not fluffy at all, is to really ask yourself, am I doing the things to take care of myself? And sometimes that is just putting on Netflix. I'm not saying we need a morning routine like everybody's preaching these days, because I've actually just recently kind of scrapped my morning routine a little bit, because I realized I was doing what everybody else is doing. And then that left me with anxiety later in the day because I was behind on my things to do. Well, now I kind of get up and do whatever I want. And if it's work, I work. And if I want to do a bit of a morning routine, I do that. And it's a much better way of doing things. But certainly making sure that you're taking care of yourself, and because if you're going to show up there as a trusted advisor and trusted expert, and that's really where the sales start to come in, is when you are that go-to, that advisor for your clients. They're going to look up to you in many ways, and you don't need to be Superman or Wonder Woman by any means, but certainly you want to be feeling okay about yourself. Holly, I've just taken pretty much 2 weeks off, or a week and a half. Feel so much better for it. And the funny thing is, I actually thought I was okay before I went away, and it was only when I was away that I realized, oh my goodness, I needed this massively. So the first thing is that. Secondly, though, I believe, as a simple philosophy, that the businesses that will survive, not just survive, but truly thrive through and beyond this pandemic, which is not going to go away overnight. We have another year, 18 months of this at least. We're probably in the middle of it right now. And that sounds maybe harsh, but it's just the reality of it. The businesses that will survive will be the ones that are there for their clients now, even if they're closed. And you might say, well, how do I do that? We'll get into that in just a moment. But I think predominantly it works like this. It's a philosophy. If you're there for your clients through this time, they will be there for you later on. This is 2020, 2021. There's so much choice. The market is fickle. If we're a commodity, then you're only comparable to the better offer down the road, the cheaper offer down the road, the online places where we can buy products at half the price. And of course, we will be easily forgotten. Now, this sounds harsh, but just because we've had a business for 20 years, just because we've been Sally's best friend, for the last 10 years. Just because we've invested hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars into our business, it doesn't give us a right to be successful. And I think that's really important to say. That's not a rite of passage to say, hey, well, I've done all this, because you hear where that language is coming from. I've invested all this money, and I get people say this. They message me and they say, I don't understand, I've invested all this money in my business and now it's all going to be lost. And it is tragic. It is a tragic year. I'm not hiding behind that by any means, but it works like this. In the law of persuasion, the most powerful law of persuasion is reciprocation. So if I buy you a coffee, inevitably you'll feel indebted to buy me a coffee next time around, but it still remains transactional. If you just buy me a coffee, then I buy you a coffee. It doesn't evolve. Whereas as human beings, we evolve through connection, and we evolve through true reciprocation. And basically what that means is if you're there for your clients now, and that might mean you might say, well, how do I do this? Okay, so literally, like, check in on them. Have a say every day. I will check in on 25 clients, and I'll reach out. I'm not going to sell them anything, because most of the time when we reach out to clients, it's because we've got an offer. By the way, just so you know. So it immediately becomes about us, not about them. Whereas if we're just like, hey, Hollie, just went to reach out, see how you're doing. I can't believe it's tier 4 in your area, or we're in tier 4 right now. Just went to check in, say hi. You can start with something as simple as that. Another thing that you can do is you could build your own, because businesses are built through communities. As human beings, we've had communities for thousands and thousands of years. If you actually go back to the caveman times, we survived because of communities, nothing else. And so we are instinctively, since the beginning of time, aligned with communities. So don't worry about clients, focus on community. What community are you building with your client base? So for example, for my community, I'm doing a Christmas party tonight, which is loads of fun. So just you're hanging out, doing a Christmas party over Zoom. We'll have over 100 people on that call. It's fantastic. And you might just have 3 people on your first call. The first course I ever ran, I had 1 person who bought the course, and I had to pay 2 of my friends to show up for the course. But that's how you start, right? And it means that we need to overcome the kind of things that are about me. And what I mean by that is that I hear this a lot from salon owners. I don't want to put my face on. I'm no good on camera. I've never done a Zoom call. Well, isn't it a great time to start? No, the man or woman on top of the mountain didn't just fall there; they had to climb. And you're only going to get good on Zoom by doing Zoom calls. It might be a train wreck, but the funny thing is, our expectation is always here, and the expectation of the people that we're helping is here. And so you'll think that was terrible, and then you'll be flooded with messages saying that was amazing. Thank you so much. You really made my day. So number 1 is being there for our clients. You have a community. Be the leader to that community. You don't need to be a leader in everything. You don't need to be a leader in what's happening in the government, although everybody on Facebook wants to be that at the moment. That's why I stay off Facebook as much as possible right now. But you do need to be a leader in what you do. If you offer skin transformation, show up for that. And there will be a little bit of coaching. There will be a little bit of other life things that happen. But you don't need to go into all the politics and all of that right now. But the second thing is innovation. So number 1 is being there for your clients. Number 2 is to be fearless to innovate. Waiting for things to go back to normal. What we had is never coming around again. And I mean that. It's been and done. The market's shifting. I'll maybe talk about that in a bit, but the market is shifting to a new way of buying, especially in the salon industry. And I'm seeing this already, but particularly we're going to see this moving forward. So when we say innovation, well, what does that mean? Well, what we can do is certainly offer consultations online, and you can do nice long consultations. Imagine doing a skin transformation consultation, and it's 90 minutes done online. And that already is something profound. So don't be afraid to innovate. Is definitely key as well. And maybe we can flesh it out a little bit as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like as well about what you're talking about, Pete, is how, I had a conversation last week with a mental health expert, and a lot of what she talked about was showing up for your clients, reaching out and saying hi, and how that is so important for your community and for you as a business. And what you're basically saying here is that the sales and the basis of sales doesn't come from about this sticky, nasty, icky, push, and just try and get people to buy things and get money out of people. That's not what it comes down to. It's about that relationship. It's about that trust. It's about showing up for your clients, and how from 2 very different extremes of 2 live videos that I've done on this platform, one about protecting mental health and one about sales, they both come down to the same thing. And that's reaching out to people and being there for them. And that no matter what your goal is, that is probably one of the most fundamentally important things you can do in your business right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember walking, this is long before the pandemic, a couple of years ago, where I was juggling between corporate consulting, because as you know, Holly, my background was, I did 8 years of working with some of the biggest brands in the world. It was fantastic, got to travel over the world, but it wasn't where my passion was at. And my dad actually sat down with me and said, son, I don't know why you don't just do this for another 10 years and you can retire, and kind of that traditional mentality. And I said, well, because it's not setting my heart on fire, and it's a first world problem. I appreciate that, but I knew that I could offer a lot more impact to people through an online academy. So I was juggling between the two, and that's always the most dangerous thing. And actually, if you're juggling between commoditized business versus I want to do this transformation, that's a really tough place to be. But just know that there's a process that you go through. But anyways, I was walking through like a local forest area where me and my partner Jamie were, and she said to me, because I was just going on and on about like, you know, a bit the business I was frustrated with, and she said to me, Pete, you know, when you're at your best is when you're out there helping people. She said, all this theory, that's all it is. It's just theory. Everything's theory until it's proven. And that was such a simple, it wasn't even a statement. It was just a sentence that you're at your best when you're helping people. And looking back over the last 2 years, I'm actually reflecting now as we speak, every time we've done something great in the business, whether it's been financially great or not, I'm just talking about it's been great in terms of like feeling good. And that's really important. It's been when we've really been there for people. And it's been great for speaking of mental health. One of the best things for my own mental health in 2020 has been through both lockdowns. As you know, Holly, you've done a similar thing, is I've basically helped as many people as I can, and been there every single day for them through a number of programs that we've ran, which are live programs and involve me showing up 2-3 times a day. And that's kept me on the straight and narrow as well, whilst taking care of my own self-care as well.
Of course.
But yeah, definitely being there for your clients right now. And it's almost counterintuitive, because we're saying, well, yeah, but I'm exhausted. I need and if you need a break, take a break. That's the key. But when you're ready to get back on the horse, don't worry about, this is what we do with sales. It comes from a number of places, but with sales, we start thinking about ourselves. How do I push these 20 products? How do I sell my latest service? How do I sell gift vouchers? How do I? It's all I. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really matter. The sales starts to flow big time when we forget about ourselves and we focus purely on how do I help? If I can help 10 people, think about this. If you can help 10 people through this, if you're in tier 4 right now and your business is closed, if you just have 5 clients that have been regulars for you for years, and you've got those 5 people and say, right, I'm going to commit to really helping those 5. And you show up for them and you check in on them and see how and you don't become their agony aunt by any means. You've got to have some strategy behind it, but that can already, imagine those 5 clients, 2 of those clients, by the end of it naturally becomes the next step of that relationship, which is, hey, I've loved working with you during this lockdown, it's been closed. I'd love to invite you to take the next step. I know you mentioned about looking after yourself in 2021, because 2020 was a rubbish year. Let's make sure 2021 is our best year yet. So let's do a total wellness solution. So for 2021, I'm actually offering a total wellness solution where I support you. You'll be a part of the community. And on top of that, all the services, all your services are taken care of for the year. And we'll give you everything you need we'll actually send everything you need each month to your home. In order to go ahead with that, it's a little bit of an investment. And I'm not saying you have to do it. But if you are looking to go ahead, it's somewhere between 3,000 to 3,500. How does that sound? Yeah. You get 2 people say yes. Yeah, it's just coming from the right. Everything's intention. Yeah, it's coming from a place of helping. So it's easier to sell that 3,500 than it is at 35 quid. It really is.
Absolutely. Pete, I always had this sort of pet hate when people say to me, oh, I'm going to just try and we've got all of these, let's say, moisturizer creams and we want to just shift them all today. And I've told the team that whoever sells the most, And it's like, what you're basically doing is you're trying to fit square pegs in round holes, and you're suggesting to your team that they need to just sell a product and not actually solve a problem. And that's when sales becomes sticky and icky within our industry, because people go, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, you know, and you talked about this yesterday, when somebody comes out of this relaxing environment and suddenly they go into this awkward, difficult environment where they're being sort of pushed a product on, and everything changes, you know. It's so important, I think, as you say, to work on that fundamental depth of that relationship between you and that client, and how you can actually incite change within that client and actually give them something that they're going to be incredibly proud of, and a result that they really desire. I mean, Timely, I've done a lot of hosting for Timely over the last year, and one of the big hosting elements that I did earlier in the year was on the Pro Beauty platform, where we talked about the consultation process. And this was just as they'd released a fabulous new piece of software for free to the whole industry, where people could do online consultations and record everybody's records to cover them for all the bits and pieces they need to be covered from, but also take them through this journey. And you talk a lot about consultations, and one thing I'd said in that previous video, and you actually mentioned it yesterday, which is funny that we'd come up with the same sort of, you know, similar idea, which was a bit like a first date. And it's a bit like when you're trying to get to know each other, and you're sort of circling around one another and working out, is this a long-term thing? Can we make a relationship work here? And how do we help each other? Do we tick each other's boxes? And it is not just about, have you ever, you know, are you on any medication? It's so much more than that, isn't it? And that's the basis of having these long-term relationships with your clients.
It's asking great questions. Great question. There's no shortage of great answers from your clients. There's usually a shortage of great questions from the therapist. We're asking very generic questions, which are, as you mentioned, you know, are you on any medication, any contraindications? What's your concerns? Sure, we might say, well, what's your goal with your skin? But we kind of brush over that question. But that's where the gold is. And if we can, at the end of the day, something I always say when I'm teaching sales is that we can only buy from our level of awareness. So it's a beautiful thing that we actually are able to help our clients increase their awareness, not about your product, because that's not about them, that's about you. But if we're able to, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe I'll ask this for people on the call now. If your clients already understood to the same level that you do, how important it is to truly take care of your skin, what would they have already done? They would have already invested thousands of pounds, because they've already got the awareness. So, you know, wouldn't it be great if a client walked in and said, hey, by the way, before we do the treatment today, I'm ready to go ahead with a complete skin transformation. I know I need to invest several £1,000s. And on top of that, I'm happy to commit for the whole year. Wouldn't it be great if all of our clients did that? But that's not the way that it goes. Because if a client feels that they have to do that, then they would have already done it themselves, or they would have gone to your competition and they would have done it there. But actually, the beautiful thing about what we do is we help people to increase their awareness. We help them to have aha moments. When they have those insights, when we teach them something new about themselves that they didn't already know, they go, wow. Or I never thought of, you know, one of the biggest buying signals is when somebody says to you, wow, I never thought about it that way. That gives me a completely different way of considering it. When somebody, like maybe somebody on this live now, as I talk about sales, you've done that. You've gone, oh, I never thought of sales that way. You've given me a different point of view. That's really what you're doing. That is sales through and through. Yeah. And as you help them to increase their awareness, they'll be at the point where they're saying to you, Hollie, this is amazing. I mean, what do I need to do to move forward? I'm ready now. Great. Hold on a sec, Hollie. Let me make sure. So it's actually a great problem to have. But going back to what we said at the beginning of this call, if we're caught up in fight or flight, and again, it's counterintuitive. If we're caught up in how do I survive, and that needs to be a real conversation. You need to have that conversation with your accountant. You need to have that conversation with your spouse. You need to have that conversation with your business partner, and you need to have that area of your business sorted. That's very important. But once you've had that conversation, then it's time to move forward to, right, how do we truly help people on an extremely deep level? And whether you're closed or open, there's so many ways that you can do it. But I know, Hollie, you mentioned as well about helping people online, because that's a whole other area, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that that I would certainly say, I've been saying this to our members throughout the year, is that up until 2020, you had a done for you business. So we'll do your, we'll fix your skin for you. We'll do a lymphatic drainage for you. Not that I encourage anyone to do a lymphatic drainage necessarily at home by themselves, but whereas now it's a done with you business. Isn't that great? Yeah. So you get to support people online with a done with you business. We'll help. I will be there side by side as your trusted advisor. I want to be your skin consultant, not a therapist. I'm your consultant. So when we say that I'm a skin consultant for the year of 2021, you'll be amazed how many people buy into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we just finish, Pete, on something you shared with us yesterday, which I absolutely loved, which was when you said people say, I can't sell, and you shared a little nugget about that, which I thought was great. Can we finish with that?
Yeah, of course. The very nature of life is selling. Children sell. They change. Children are great at sales because they can have an ice cream. No. Can I have an ice cream? No. I've tidied my room. Can I have an ice cream? Okay. They'll change their approach until they get to yes. As adults, we are constantly selling, whether we like it or not. And the reason why I say that is because you probably had this quote before. We are a species that wants to prove ourselves right. And basically what that means is that even when we say we're not selling, we are in fact in that moment selling. We're selling the fact that we cannot sell. And I've met many therapists over the years who say, I've been in this industry 20 years. I can't, nothing you can teach me that will work because I can't sell. And I go, you can sell. No, I can't sell. I'm like, you can sell. And they're like, no, I can't sell. I told you already, I've been in this industry 20 years, blah, blah. And they're defending the fact that they can't sell. And then that always leaves me open to say, you're selling right now. You're selling to me the fact that you cannot sell. So you're either selling a solution that makes somebody's life significantly better, or you're selling your reason why you cannot sell. And it's making that decision of which one do you want to do? Yeah. Because this one's exhausting, this one's fulfilling. And once we've made that decision and we say, if money was no object, what would I do for my client? Then the floodgates open up for the better.
Absolutely. I love that. This has been so brilliant, Pete. I think anybody who sits and watches this is going to pick up so many amazing tips and really maybe rethink about how they're going to structure their sales moving forward. Of course, if we do go into lockdown, we don't know, as you said, fairly, this is going to be around for a while. And whilst there'll be more movement, we will still have to think of different ways to do things. And there are paths that we can follow to have dramatic impact and results within our business by changing how we see things. So huge thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Just for everybody in the audience, we won't be doing a live next week because it's between Christmas and New Year, and hopefully you'll all be knee deep in mulled wine and Christmas pudding. But beyond that, we have whole January packed full of really cool stuff. I have my very own Ryan Power coming with me, my husband and business partner, to talk about planning for the year ahead. He'll be with me at the beginning of January. We'll also be seeing Valerie Del Forge. We've got Ryan Baker, CEO of Timely, on talking about storytelling in your business, and Ria Jane Lincoln talking about beauty business accounting as well. So we've got a jam packed January full of loads and loads of content. Wishing you all a wonderful Christmas and lots of positivity for 2021. We know as an industry, we have absolutely worked incredibly hard. We found a huge voice this year. We have found our skill sets. We've reimagined our businesses. We've reassessed how we've done things. We've rediscovered our passion. And I believe we'll only get stronger and stronger in 2021. So again, Pete, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Have a Merry Christmas to everybody who's watching, and a huge Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.